So I have already done that, so I'm going to teach you how we can do this. So you can see uh, I have created a remove items method. So you can see I've created a remove items constant, and there we have done the to do to filter, which takes item as a parameter, and which checks if the item that id is given by the id which we passed from here. The item id is, if this id is not is equals to that id, then it will filter, it will it will just leave that id and just take others id and just put in a set to do method. So basically what we have done is, as you can see again, as you can see, we have created a to-do list. Simply we have created an input list. So now when we can see, so when we refresh it, so you can ever designing, because we have not designed anything. So when we will click something, as you can see, and when we will cancel it, and this, so this is it. So we can have a option like clear all option, but that's in next video. So now I'm going to give you a summary how I used it. So at first I created a form where I created handle submit method, which will just show the items, as you can see, which will show the items like new items, so as we set to do. And then I used input where value is text, and onChange method which our state will handle it efficiently. So as input we have given a state, use state, which will handle text and set text, and in onChange we will create a handle change which takes synthetic event and then pass to set text method. And then we have handle change, and if users key presses the keyword, then React will automatically detects the onChange and then re-renders to give us the new value. That's why React is fast and declarative. So as we handle the value, so handle submit will also handle the submission. So we used synthetic event to prevent default, because whenever we press enter while submitting, it refreshes the page and the state is lost. So for that we prevent default so that the page won't refresh. Then we use the set to do method, which is a simple array of function where we pushed our initial to do list, and then we created a new object where we used a dynamic id, which is a random id we created, and then we pushed the title. The title is the text that user added. So then we map the items so that items can be get on the list. So as you can see, this is the list which we mapped. So as mapped, this is the li. So you can see here the dots and the text, and this button is to remove. So we created a button. This is called an arrow function. I created this function because I have to pass a dynamic arrow. If I would not have, then I just can use remove item and then just leave. So I created this remove item so that I passed item.id. So that item.id is then taken by this remove item, and then it create a constant remove items which filters the item which I got to the item id which it is passed through the user or dynamic value. If the id which user which is generated in this array, you can see this id, this item means of the array of to do. If this id is generated by to do, then if it is not equal to id, if it is not equal to the id down, so if it is not equal to the id down, then return that value, and then we will remove that id. So that's the logic. So please forgive me if I have told or I have confused you, but this is my first video, so I'm also a bit nervous, and just I'm also trying my hard. So please support me, and this is my first video, so I'm not doing such editings. I'm just creating a logic. So you can do css in like app the css, you can see in init css, anything css. So css is not the constant, because as we are reading React, so we can have like our theme, you can download theme and do stuff. So I don't prefer using css while using React, so because we can use pretty just logically React is good. So this is what I'm going to give you source code. This is an easy logical thing. uh, for you. So now we can create some more logics, like if to do the length is greater than 0, then just show it, otherwise say like no to do yet, there's no to do. If you remove all to do, and then you can create like a clear all button. So you can create like a button which have a clear all name, where you can create a function, and then when we click this function, then it will clear all the things. So one, we have a delete, and this is delete all, or function it can be like delete all. And I guess you should use logic like const delete all is equals to, and then you can like simply set to do to uh, like this means you don't need any data, you just can empty data. So I will just uh, assure if it is working or not, as you can see. So no to do yet, if we do and clear all, so you can see we can clear all too. And is it, yes, see, if we no to do yet, if length is less than 0, and then we will create it something, if 1 and if you want to delete all, then delete. This is simple, but it has a great logic, and if you learn this in React, you are getting good. So this is all about use state with hook. Thank you for watching.